welcome to the GSA Podcast. My name is Gabrielle and I'm here with Ashas. So, Ashas, how have you found the return to the academy?
I think it's better than remote learning as we can personally see each other. What about you?
I feel like I'm adapting to it like I used to first. So, yeah, it's good.
We are now going to go to an interview with the head of SU, Pavan.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I'm a Year 7 student interviewer with the GSA Podcast and I'll be asking you a few general questions. Question 1. How has being part of the SU improved your experience at Josota Academy?
Being part of the SU gives you a unique voice within the school. It allows you to represent the values of people in your year and your cohort. To your head of sixth form, your head of year. It also gives you a big confidence boost because you're now talking to people or you're representing people that maybe you wouldn't have spoken to in general. So it allows you to talk to more people, make friends with more people, and just have an overall have an overall what can I say? An overall importance, I'd say, in the year.
Okay. Question 2. How do you manage your schoolwork with other activities you may have?
So I think that's one of the hardest things that I learned during my whole academic career is trying to balance my time and everything I do outside of that. And sometimes it still gets tricky, but what I do try and do is I do try and kind of when I wake up, try and plan how my day is going to go out. Sometimes it doesn't go completely to plan, but if I've got a rough idea, then I can allow myself to have, maybe half an hour that's outside of what I thought, half an hour maybe extra work or half an hour extra doing something that's not schoolwork. But because I allow myself to do that, I'm not putting too much pressure on myself where I'm demotivating myself. But I'm also keeping to my work and I'm keeping that nice balance.
Okay. Question 3. Have you been going to school during the lockdown?
I haven't. I've been doing all my work online.
Okay. Question 4. Do you look forward to completing sixth form and will you be going on to uni or apprenticeship?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I will miss about sixth form. I mean, I didn't get to have the full experience. I think by the time I get to the end of the year, I would have been in sixth form for just about a year probably. So I feel like there's a lot of things that we have missed out on, but I will miss my friends, the whole experience. But I will be going on to university to pursue a career into pharmacy. But obviously both options are a great way to start off a career.
Interesting. Okay. Question 5. What challenges have you faced in your role as student union representative?
I think not being able to communicate with the whole school face to face. I think one of the things I was really excited about with this role was being able to talk to so many different year groups and so many different people. And unfortunately, because of the situation we're in, that I haven't been able to do that. But I still, do look forward to when I do get to speak to the representatives from each year. I do look forward to seeing what everyone has to say.
Okay. Question 6. What are some of the highlights of being a Josota student?
I think the diversity in our school is something that I never got to see in my previous school. And I think that's something that's so unique and so precious because we are, as it does, as we say, we are one world in one school, and there's so many different people that I've met from so many different backgrounds and cultures, and I think it's a really beautiful thing. And also the set of values that George Soto Academy has its staff as well. I think we have an extraordinary team of staff throughout the whole school. Every staff member I've met, I've always been so impressed and so grateful that we have the cohort of staff that we do.
Okay. Question 7. Would you recommend the school to anyone who is due to start year 7?
Yes, of course. I think it's a great school. I know in the past there may have been some troubles. I know when I was entering year 7, you know, there were different opinions, various opinions, but I feel like the school now is one of the top schools in the area, and I feel I've seen many other schools. I've been to another school, had the experience there. You know, I went to a grammar school, so I went to the you know a selective school, and the experience I received there is unmatched to the experience I received at George Soto, because I've learned so many life lessons and so many you know, so many other things while being at George Soto Academy that supersede um you know getting GCSEs, you know, as important as they are. You know, you also need to learn that bit about, you know, how you can succeed in life, you know, in other pathways and with other things.
Yeah, and that's very important.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 8. What is your favorite subject and why?
Um, I do 3 subjects. Luckily, I think it's unfortunate for all of you guys who have so many subjects to choose, but I think probably sociology, because it's a study of the wider society, how people may think, how different people see things. You get debates, you get you get to raise your opinions in class, you get to speak openly, and I think that's something that's really I think that's something that's really well suited to me. And I think a lot of people that wouldn't tend to speak normally like to bring their opinions across when it is when we do have a hot topic debate. It gets everyone involved, and it gets everyone talking, and I feel like that in itself is much more effective than just sitting there and writing down information, etc.
Yep. And question 9. What is the last book you read, if any?
The last book I read was The Kite Runner, and it was a pretty extraordinary book. It was very enlightening. It was obviously it was based in the Middle East. It was based in war-torn Afghanistan. I think it's a very enlightening book, and I would recommend it to everyone to have a read of that, because it's a very nice book to read.
Yeah. I'm reading the book series of the Famous Five, and I haven't finished all the books, but to be honest, I love it.
And what's it about?
Well, it's just different stories, obviously,
Yeah.
of 5 children
Okay.
going on different adventures.
Oh, that sounds. I think I like kind of stuff like when I was younger, I used to like reading that kind of adventurous story
Yeah.
type.
It makes me feel like I'm actually in the book,
In the book.
experiencing it.
Yeah, I used to read a lot of when I was in primary school. I used to read a lot of Jacqueline Wilson.
Oh,
Um,
I love her books too. I've
yeah,
read some of her books, like Tracy Beaker.
yeah, I used to feel really. One of my favorite books when I was growing up was called The Bed and Breakfast Star, and I think that book about definitely more than 10 times. I just felt so immersed in the book. I just felt like I was the character, or not even
Yeah.
a character. I could see, the character in front of me or in my mind. So yeah, but reading's really important for
Yep.
any, especially you guys are doing English. Well, I know most of the school will be doing English,
Yep.
etc. It's essential. I think it's really really important.
Yeah. And it widens your vocabulary.
As it widens your vocabulary, it widens your knowledge as well.
Yep.
And I think reading books, even if it's fiction, non-fiction, it broadens your understanding of life and how everything.
Okay, thank you for your time, and it was great to hear your views.
It was lovely speaking to you.
Take care and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks to Pava for the amazing interview, really detailed responses. So, Gabriel, how did you find the testing?
To be honest, I didn't do the testing, but I'm sure if I did, it would have been fine, just as long as it keeps everyone safe. What about you?
I did the testing, and I think it was quite quick, and it's keeping everyone safe.
Yeah. How have you found having to wear your mask all day?
I think it's quite different than we would have normally had, and it's even hard to speak and hear teachers, but I know that is to keep everyone safe.
Mhm.
So, have you found it as bad as you thought it would be?
Not really, because I mean it's comfortable. I can breathe in it, but sometimes it's quite because when we come back from lunchtime or break time, I just feel quite hot, and we can't take it off. So yeah. But now that we've finished that, we are now going to an interview with Year 8 student leader Rupa.
Welcome to the GSA Podcast. I'll be interviewing you today and asking you some questions. So my first question is, how do you feel to have this job?
I've never been in a podcast or anything like this. Obviously in primary school, they don't do stuff like this. It's like once I got in high school, it's like being leadership, and it's like different.
Okay, so what are your responsibilities of being a student leader?
As a student leadership, I have to make sure that people are okay, and also take part in like what people want to like change about the school.
Who else do you work with?
Pardon?
Who else do you work with?
There's different people across the whole school who are leadership. There's like I think 2 or 3, maybe more each form in the school.
For how long have you been doing this?
Since year 8.
What are your favorite subjects?
Pardon?
What are your favorite subjects?
Mine is art. That's what I like do in my free time as well, and I like other subjects that like you have practicals and you don't just sit, but obviously that's hard now with the coronavirus.
What are your hobbies?
Art, and I like making things, and I like social media a lot and talking to my friends and family.
Do you do any extra school clubs?
I do a school club on Tuesday from 3:30 to 4, an art club, and the other one is on Thursdays. I have a leadership meeting on like after school.
What have you been doing during lockdown?
Mostly like on my phone. I know that's bad, but a lot on my phone. I've been doing art. I've tried to go out to the garden. I hang out with my siblings. I ate a lot. Yeah.
How would you describe your experience at George Salter Academy?
I haven't so far, even through year 7 and year 8, I still have 100% attendance. I really care a lot about my attendance, and I care a lot about like if I get a negative. I haven't gotten one yet, and if I did, I make sure I don't, and I try to be like the best student I can, so that like I can get into a good college and like achieve goals I have.
Okay, so thank you for answering our questions today. We were very happy to have you.
Thanks to Rupa for being part of our podcast. We will now talk about our hobbies and favorite things to do. So, Ashas, what do you do in your spare time?
I quite like to dance and listen to music as I enjoy doing it. What about you, Gabby?
I really enjoy dancing too, and that's what I do. I enjoy dancing and I just watch TV shows.
What games did you play over lockdown?
I played Roblox. I think that's it really. What about you?
I played quite a lot of outside games like football, basketball.
Okay. We will now go to an interview with Mr. Ward.
Welcome, Mr. Ward, to the GSA Podcast. Pleased to have you here, and I'll be interviewing today.
Excellent, no problem.
For question 1, tell me how you organize, plan, and prioritize your work.
Right. Now, planning my time is one of the most difficult parts of the job. First, I'll look ahead. So I'll look ahead to see if there's going to be any pinch points. And what I mean by that is if there's any things like parents' evenings, or I might have some extracurricular fixtures in normal times and things like that. And also I'll try and fit in things like just some downtime as well, because being in pastoral, things pop up that you can't always plan for. So making sure you have got time where things can be moved around as well. That's probably the 3 things that I'll do to make sure I organise. Prioritising, again, that's a difficult one because things pop up all the time. Normally, I'll just kind of look at anything that's going to have the biggest impact or the biggest need. So if a student really needs me for something, then I can drop everything and prioritise them. And it's also making sure though that if I'm doing that, I'm not forgetting the little things like popping into a lesson just to see how one of the students is getting on with their work, or just going out at lunchtime and having a conversation with one of the students about anything but work, just something else to build that relationship. So yeah, that's really it from me. That.
Good answer. For question 2, how do you establish and enforce rules in your class, in your lesson?
Right. I'll try and be firm but fair. I'd like to think that most of the students would agree with that. And, I've got quite high standards, but, I've got quite high standards of the students, but I expect them to have high standards of me as well. And that, I think, helps build a relationship. The better than a student, the easier it is to plan a lesson and to ensure that they're succeeding, whatever that may be. So yeah, firm and fair, and building relationships with students.
Okay. For question 3, what is the most difficult aspect of evaluating your students' progress?
Right. So I'd go with the fact that, every student has different strengths and areas for development, and being able to assess all those different strengths and areas of development, because everything is unique to that student. So finding, what they're really doing well is often the easy bit, but finding the areas of development in terms of what they need to work on and the best way for them to develop that is probably the hardest thing. And also linking into that, it's probably setting challenging tasks as well. So I'll often set tasks that are really, really, really difficult. And, I'm almost expecting a lot of students not to be successful with those. But by the end of the lesson, when they developed it, then setting almost a very similar task and getting them to see their progress. So, yeah, I'd go with that.
Okay, for question 4, share an interesting fact about you.
Right. I'd go with, well, I'm a direct descendant of Oliver Cromwell. And for those who maybe not as linked up or informed on Oliver Cromwell, he was in charge of the country at one point, and he was the one who cancelled Christmas. So it's not exactly one to be happy about. Yeah, but I'm a direct descendant of Oliver Cromwell.
So you're related to him?
Yeah, so many years ago, like my he's probably, I think, my great granddad or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. For question 5, what safety factors would you keep in mind when designing a practical lesson?
Okay, so in terms of like PE, practical lessons, I'd go with space. First of all, have the students got enough space to complete the task safely? That's especially important with sports like hockey, or cricket or rounders, where you've got, students swinging things around. Ability as well. You won't always go straight into a very hard task depending on the sport. So if you're doing things like javelin or shot put, you might start with lighter javelins, or maybe not a full shot put, just due to safety and making sure they've got the technique right first. And I'd probably say effort is the third one, because if a student's not applying themselves to their full effort, then that's telling me they're not ready to move on to maybe more risky activities that may be a bit more fun. So they may not be ready to move on to using javelins or shot puts or, full cricket bats and hard balls in cricket and things like that.
Okay, for question 6, what qualities do you have which would make you an effective progress leader?
I'd like to think that I'm approachable. Again, the year 10 students may disagree with that, but I always say they can come and speak to me or send me a message about absolutely anything, and I will offer them support with that. And I don't just say that, I do mean that. If any student needs support, they can send me a message, and even if I'm not the one to answer it or help them with it, I will be able to point them in the right direction. And probably high standards as well. I've got high standards in my lessons. I expect the students to put in their best effort, because that is a big determination of success. And I think that moves into the progress leader role as well. And I've got big, and high expectations for the students in year 10. And if they fall below those expectations, I'll hold them to account on that. Because if they've got high expectations of themselves, I feel that they are far, far more likely to succeed both in school and outside of school as well.
For question 7, if I walked into your classroom during an outstanding lesson, what would I see and hear?
You'd probably hear me before you saw me. I'm always told I'm very, very loud. But yeah, engagement. Okay, I like to get the students as engaged in the activity as possible and get as many people moving when it's practical lessons to make sure that, they are engaged actively in the lesson. Challenge. Like I said earlier, I like to set the students, really challenging activities that will push them. And often I'll set them, extremely difficult challenges where I don't expect them to succeed straight away. And it will need them to show resilience, and to ensure that they're pushing themselves and also learning how to fail, because I think that's part of an outstanding lesson. If you can fail well, you'll learn from it and then you'll make progress. And I guess it's the other things as well that you can't really put a finger on, things like teamwork and, cooperation, and communication, all those things where the students are working to develop those skills that will help them outside of lessons and outside of school.
For question 8, why did you take the role of being a PE teacher?
Oh, right, that's an easy one. Firstly, I could not think of anything worse than being stuck inside for an extended period of time. I'm an outdoors person. I much prefer to be outside and active. I don't like to sit on my backside all day, so I'd much rather be outside, which is one of the reasons. I love physical activity and sport. You know, I don't think there's a single sport that I can't watch and can't enjoy for its various merits. And I get kind of engrossed in sports as well. Sports that I don't maybe know a lot about, but I can watch it and then suddenly, really get into it and get involved. So I love being active and I love sport. And similar to what we said before about those little skills that you maybe don't develop as much in other classrooms and the classroom environments, the teamwork, the cooperation, the resilience, learning that you're not going to be able to get something straight away, and it's going to take a bit of hard work and it's going to take a bit of resilience for you to keep going to achieve something. And I think there's one lesson that I want students to learn in my PE lessons is that resilience, is that determination, in that it doesn't matter. I do not care if someone tries their best and fails. I don't care. Okay, what I want you to learn from that is that you've tried your best, and if you keep trying your best, you'll develop. And I think that's something that is definitely, it's in other lessons as well, but it's really kind of hit home in PE.
For question 9, why did you decide to be a progress leader?
I've all, even when I was in my first year of teaching, I wanted to be in pastoral because I like looking at I'd say the holistic view of a student. So, with PE, you can see some students and you see them once a week and you're like, oh, that student is brilliant. That student's maybe not as practically able, so they're not as good in PE. But actually, being a progress leader, I know that student, it might not be great in PE. They might not be the best footballer or the best tennis player, but they're absolutely fantastic at maths. They're, fantastic student in science. They love history. And seeing students, in seeing their strengths and getting to know them outside of just one subject is a massive, massive benefit of being a progress leader. And also I get to make a big difference. I feel anyway, a big difference, a big impact across a wider range of students and across a wider range of subjects, and assisting those students and helping them out to get the best out of their education, whether that's being them developing academically and getting the best grades they can possibly get at the end of their GCSEs or A levels, or whether it's that developing socially and then turning into real outstanding young people. And we've got so many outstanding young people in school, and I think a lot of that is testament to the work that not only the students do, but the teachers do for students as well.
For question 10, where would you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Work, in terms of work-wise, I'd probably go, again, it's similar to the role, the kind of the answer I gave before. I want to make as big a positive impact with as many people as possible. I do feel that, teachers, we are blessed in the way that we get to day in, day out, make such a positive impact, or the potential to make such a positive impact on young people. And I want to make as big a positive impact as I can. That may mean that in a couple of years or soon, I'm not sure, that I may look to move up to a senior leadership role to make even bigger impact, potentially over even more students and more departments. But yeah, I just want to make as bigger impact as possible. So who knows where that'll take me.
Now that's the end of the interview. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you back in school.
Looking forward to it, and thank you for asking me to come on.
Thank you, Mr. Ward, for taking the time to be interviewed. Just quickly before we finish, we have time for some music from the Aptitude Group.
thank you for listening. Have an amazing week.
Bye.
Bye.